I thought everything just aligned perfectly where they're at and where they're trying to go and where I'm trying to get to as well. I think we got a real legitimate shot. I've always been a fan of Tyrese and Joel from afar.
Sure, I get it. The playoff P jokes are hilarious, but let's be real, Paul George is incredibly skilled. With PG heading to the 76ers, he's likely stepping into a second or even third row option. Pairing him with Maxey and Embiid, that's a recipe for success based on his talent alone. George doesn't need the ball in his hands all the time to make things happen, and he's already thrived in roles where he wasn't the primary guy. So fitting in a Philly system, that's going to be a smooth transition for him. One thing PG sells at is that ability to operate off ball effortlessly, finding his spots on the floor to catch and shoot or cut to the rim. Whether it's coming off screens to hit a pull-up or attacking the basket, PG has the versatility to score from anywhere on the court in a matter of seconds. And let's not forget, he's bringing over 22 points per game on 61% true shooting. This movement off ball will open up the floor, making it even tougher for defenses to key in on Embiid and Maxey, just making the floor even more spaced out. Follow George on this play here. He's first a screener to start off, but then right as his defender turns his head, this is when PG stunts one way to then run off the screen, and with nothing but time and space, this one is a walk in the park. To score a ball effectively, you must understand how to set up your man to gain the advantage. So here you'll see George walk down Kisper as if he's just setting up a brush screen for Tice, but this is all a setup so George can spin back around to run Kisper off a screen himself, and bada bing, it's money team. PG is one of those guys that doesn't need a whole lot of space to get his shot off, as once he has that opening, it'll be up in a split second. Imagine on this play that George is throwing it into Embiid instead of Westbrook. Well, for one, this defender would probably help down, which will open up PG for a wide open look, or this defender could choose to stay home and make Embiid go one-on-one. Either way, it's pretty much pick your poison with these options, and here comes the 3-ball from George after the double. This 3-ball of his can be a major threat, so you must stay attached to him, because if you're to get separated like the defender does here on this play, well, now you have to travel through an obstacle course while George is running freely, and now you're both watching the 3 go in from the sideline. So not only is it crucial that you're aware of where he is and have your hands ready to contest the shot, but you have to be aware of mismatches and allowing George to locate the angle to attack the rim, or else he's just going to have his way with your defense. When coming off this pin down screen on the left side, George has Scottie trailing behind him, so with Boucher being so far in deep drop coverage here, it lets George be able to see the exact angle he wants to take, go right at him, and then shoot him off with that off arm to complete the layup. This ability to get right to his spots and score the basket is amazing, as a lot of players struggle to score well without the ball, but for PG, this lets him flow into his game much easier, and I mean, hey, you tell me, aren't these backdoor buckets probably the easiest points you'll get in the game? Since the defense is now seeing you come off these handoffs or run off these pin downs, they'll now be waiting for that to come, so here's where you can cut hard past your defender to receive the pass to go get an and one. It'll truly look like the play is set for Paul George to come up the floor as you see Terrence Mann signaling it, but in basketball, everything is either a setup or a reaction. And by that I mean, if you look at the Clippers here, they have everyone on the perimeter, so what does that leave uncovered? Well, you guessed it, it's the paint. So that's the way this could be a setup for George. But also, if you look at RJ Barrett on this play, he's creeping up trying to cheat the play himself as if George was going to run off the screens. So here's where George can react quickly to cut back door and find himself catching a lob. Things happen so fast at the NBA level that you have to stay on your P's and Q's. And when you're guarding PG, it doesn't matter if it's a strong side backdoor or one that's on the total opposite side, he can route himself to the destination and arrive safely. Now there is a key word in that sentence I just said, and the word is route. At the highest level of any sport, you must be able to find different routes, or shall I say approaches to the way you score, and this is what makes Paul George such a special player. His skills range from the 3-point line all the way to the inside, and when you add in his ball handling, well, this right here is what puts him in a category of his own. At 6'8", 220 pounds, PG moves like a guard with his slick handle and smooth body movements that lead to him cooking whoever stands in front of him. With George joining the 76ers, that ability to work off ball will be huge, but this team is also getting a guy who can go get a bucket whenever he feels like it. With George knocking down 41% of his 8 threes per game, this makes the defense have to play up high, so now this leaves them vulnerable to this smooth crossover that allows George to get downhill and use that decel to bank this off the glass. You'll have some defenders who make that fatal mistake of giving up all this space to protect the post entry, but in return, they're just giving up 3 points instead of 2. With George playing next to Embiid and Maxey, who will collapse the defense fairly easily, he's going to have countless looks to set up shop and snipe the defense, and then if Philly decides to put the ball in his hands, well, he can get busy with the handle to nail the jumper. If we look at this breakdown of PG's 3-point tracking, you can see that he was a hot shooter off the catch at 45% while sinking 35% when pulling up last season, and this right here gives you a confident guy who doesn't mind letting it fly in either situation. Now with him being in Philly, I'm pretty sure we're going to more so see him spot up like we see here, and that's all because I don't see Philly pushing back Tyrese Maxey's growth to allow George to be the second option, and we all know that Joel Embiid is going to stay the first option no matter what. So with PG most likely being that third option, he will have these possessions where he can get crafty to create a shot, but I feel like a bulk of his outside shooting will come off kickouts and from the ball moving side to side. But hold on, we're not here for all that chit chat stuff, so please tell me and you have the same love for these snatchback sallies that Grant clean looks at the rim. The defense will be so locked in on stopping any inside scoring that they aren't expecting this abrupt snatch, and this one right here is straight cash. PG sells these so well because he still understands to get low and bait the defender to play the drive, and once he gets into their body, that's when he gives them a slight nudge with the inside hand while going back the opposite direction, and now George has his gap of space to pull up with ease. It's nice to have this weapon in your arsenal as you can utilize it in long range combat, or you can use it in the in-between range as well, but you must understand that your opponent will find ways to stop that, so you must have other counters. If that snatchback is dished out but doesn't finish off the opponent completely, George will add in another smooth crossover for the fun of it and rise up over the top. If you're to look around the league, you really don't see many players with such a nice and effective crossover like PG. He really shakes guys out their position like it's nothing, and with him being 6'8", you can't really contest if you arrive late. When the bigs get switched onto him, well, go ahead and heat up the grills. If the defender gets flat-footed to then get served the crossover, he'll be sure to get his feet moving then, allowing George to flow right in. And for those times he doesn't get the space initially, he can cross back over the break pass to go score a tough bucket. It's not always going to be easy to convert inside after breaking down the defense as you just saw, so that's where you can stop on a dime like PG does here to pull up, or you can use a strong decel to stay controlled to get 2 points. These decels allow for George to not only stay in control, but it can help him allow bigs to fly by when he's going up, or it allows for him to get into players' body to shield them off before going to go score. This right here adds another layer the defense has to worry about when Paul George is pushing at them downhill, and if that wasn't bad enough, if needed, he'll muzzle his way to his desired area. I mean, just look at the way Paul George manhandles Bradley Beal in his push to the rim, and it makes this floater look easy. I know he may be smooth most of the time, but PG has that muscle to move defenders way up out the way to make his life easier. If they do beat him to the spot, he doesn't mind getting into their chest to create space off this step back for the jumper. And if you watch this play closely, George uses that strength to hold off Reddish to receive this entry pass from Harden, and then from there on, he makes it look like a cone drill. Combating this strength along with his elegant nature is something a lot of defenders have a tough time with, and now with Philly having another foreshore scorer on this team, things could get interesting. I'm sure people will throw those jokes in about Paul George not performing in the playoffs as that's when it really matters, and hey, I'm not here to argue that. But I will say there's a lot we can learn from his game when analyzing it and see what parts will work well with this Philly system around Embiid and Maxey. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you're first to know when I upload. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.